Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you are going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the narration reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? My brother, I am a man who is aged 39 years old. I have 3 kids, and my kids, they are all girls. My brother, there is a story that I want to share with you, and it is quite a painful story. My mother, when I got married to my wife, she didn't like the woman that I had gotten married to, but I told her that this was the woman that I wanted to get married to. She had another woman that she wanted me to get married to. So after the death of my mother, I am facing a lot of challenges in my life. Recently, Brother Nashi, I was coming from Zim. If it was not that I had a worker's permit, it had to be verified, Brother Nash. Otherwise, they would have denied me entry back into South Africa. As usual, me and my wife, each and every December, we go back home. But when we were returning back, we were on the bus, Sable class. Whilst we were on that bus, that was when we were busy stamping our passports at the border. So I took out my passport with confidence, knowing that all my documents are okay. That was when another woman looked at me. The way that she looked at me, I really got scared and nervous, because this was like the first time for a Home Affairs official to look at me in such a way. When that lady looked at me, she then said, "Why are you trying to use someone's passport?" I said, "Someone's passport? What do you mean?" She then said that, "So you think that I cannot see that this passport that you are trying to use, it is a woman's passport?" I said, "No, this is my passport." She handed me the passport, and she said that she was going to tear that passport that I was using because it did not belong to me. I took back the passport, and when I looked at it, it was my own passport. That was when another supervisor came and he took the passport. They were not even convinced that this was my passport. That lady who was stamping my passport, she said that she saw that this passport, it appeared as if it belonged to a woman. When she described the woman on the picture as she was speaking with the supervisor, I saw that this was the image of my mother that she was describing. I just kept quiet. All that I wanted was for my passport to be stamped so that me and my wife, we can quickly get back on the bus. I was really scared, my brother. I then spoke with my wife, and then everything just changed. When I arrived here, there was bad luck. My story, it started soon after my wife was pregnant. My mother then cursed my wife. My mother said that you will never be able to conceive a son in your life. You are only going to give birth to baby girls, and this is what happened. We are now at baby number 3, and all of these babies, they have all came because of an operation. They told my wife that there is no more space for them to cut to make that cesarean section on her stomach, because she has had 3 kids and she never had a natural birth. Because my mother, she would actually tell me that she didn't like my wife, and I will say, "Mother, what are you trying to say?" Right now, my wife, she is in her 9th month of her pregnancy, and you are telling me that you hate her. Why are you saying this? Is it okay for you to say that you hate a woman that is heavily pregnant? What if she dies during childbirth? Who am I going to blame? And she will say that you will blame yourself, for you are a fool, because I never wanted you to get married to her in the first place. There was this woman that you were supposed to get married to, but you chose this city girl. My mother hated my wife because she was born and she was raised in the city. So she said that my wife was a prostitute simply because she was born in the city. She said that I was supposed to get married to a village girl because those are the women that know our African tradition, how to respect a man and never to cheat on their husbands. So she hated my wife a lot. My wife, whenever she would go to give birth, my mother will visit me in the city. I could not chase her away because she was my mother, but each and every time when she would visit me, when my wife was heavily pregnant, that is when my wife will say that my waters has broken. Please let us go to the hospital. And 3 times this happened when my mother had visited us, and 3 times my wife, she gave birth through that cesarean operation. And then the doctors then told her that it was far much better for her not to fall pregnant again, because it was now too risky. When I look at my wife's stomach, she has scars, Brother Nashi, because of the way that the doctors cut her up. Because on the last pregnancy, what happened was that there was a nurse. This story, it hurts me a lot, Brother Nashi, and it has nothing to do with us being foreigners. She gave birth when we were here in South Africa. So the nurse that was attending to her, she forgot the cotton that they used soon after the operation. When she was busy finishing up tying that wound, making the stitches, she forgot the cotton. Then what started happening was that me and my wife, we saw that the wound was not getting better. And at that time, when my wife gave birth, it was during the cold season. So usually the wound, it is supposed to be okay. But my wife's wound, we saw that there was a lot of fluid that was coming out of her wound. We then returned back to the hospital, but they could not attend to her that much. When we went to a private doctor, that was when they said that they had to open up the womb because it was too risky. The infection was spreading all over. They had to cut my wife up again. That was when they found this cotton, the piece of cotton that was inside her skin. My wife, she used to scream out a lot in pain whenever we would try to sleep because of the pain of that cotton that had been forgotten by that nurse. But I can't blame that nurse because I know where the problem started. It started with my mother, because my mother, she was placing these curses on my wife. My mother, she even had the nerves to visit us without ever warning us that she was coming to South Africa. She just called us one day. She said that I am in Beitbridge, so I do not know where you guys are staying. So please just speak with the driver of this truck. He is the one who is giving me a lift. I said, Mother, how can you do such a thing? Here in South Africa, we were just having a 1 room. I said, please, you should have told us that this is what you want. But she said that he wants to come and visit. That was when I remembered that my mother, this is what she does whenever my wife is pregnant. For my wife to go and give birth, my mother has to be there. I then allowed my mom to come. She came and we picked her up. We stayed in that 1 room with my heavily pregnant wife, and she kept on saying that my wife was lazy. She does not want to cook. Yet she could see that my wife's legs were so swollen. After my wife had given birth, my mother one day, she just said, I want to go back home. I want to go back home. Then we took her to the bus station. We could not even afford to buy some groceries for her because of what had happened. And she just went home. She said, all that matters is that I have been able to see my 3rd grandchild. It is a pity that this woman of yours cannot give you a son. What is going to happen to you when you die? Everyone is going to forget about you. Those were her last words. She sent me a message and she said that this woman of yours, she is just using you. These kids that she has given you, they are all girls. They are all going to get married. Then who is going to bury you when they would have gone to stay with their husbands in their husbands' villages? That is what she told me. Brother Nashi, as for these 3 kids of mine, they were all staying back home at that time when these problems started. My girls, they were all attending at different private schools because we wanted the best education for them. Then the problem started. Each and every one of my kids, usually what would happen is that they would have an epileptic seizure each and every time. And when we would receive a report from the school, when the school teachers will tell us that one of my daughters would have had an epileptic seizure, then we will receive another call from a different school because all of my girls, they are going to different schools. So because we didn't want them to go to the same school so that they cannot be naughty, Then on the same day, we used to know that if I receive a phone call from Zim, from the first school where one of my daughters is attending, then I will receive another phone call from another school as well. These seizures, they kept on happening until we visited this other traditional healer. When we visited this other traditional healer, he then said that this thing, it is very difficult. He then suggested that I return back home. When I returned back home, we then went to this other red garment prophet. When we went there, that woman who is a prophetess in that red garment church, she said that everything was being caused by my mother, and I suspected that my mom was the one who was causing all of these things because she hated her own grandchildren as well as their mother. That woman then said that, do you know that your mother has a snake? I said, no. She then said that your mother has a snake, and this snake, it stays in the mountains. So this snake, it is a male, and usually it requires the services of a woman. So this snake, it's used to stay and sleep with your mother. It was your mother's husband. That is why you never knew your father, because that snake was the one who killed your own father, because the snake was jealous. This spiritual husband of your mother is a jealousy one, and it killed your own father. Do you know that? I then said, no, I do not know anything. Then that woman said that the reason as to why your kids are having these epileptic seizures at the same time, it is because your grandmother, she then said that the reason as to why all of your kids, your daughters, are having epileptic seizures all at once, it is because your mother has made another deal with this snake. She is too old. She can't sleep with this snake and have sex with that snake each and every day. She is too tired and old. So she made another covenant. She has dedicated all of your daughters to become wives to this snake. That is the reason as to why your kids are having these seizures, because they are too young to be sleeping with such a monster that has such a large manhood. That is why they end up having these epileptic seizures. I said, what are we going to do now, O prophetess of God? She then said that there is one thing that we can do so that your mother can stop doing this thing that you are doing. That lady then said that, do you have money? I said, yes, I have money. I have enough money on me. What do you want us to do? She said that, I want to go with you to your homestead so that we can bury some items around your compound so that your mother will not be able to attack you. We then went with that prophetess back to our village from her village. When we arrived in our village, we then went to my homestead. That prophetess then told me that I had to go into the forest. And when I was in the forest, she had instructed me that I had to look for 12 branches, small, strong branches, that we were going to make wooden stakes from those small branches. And she said that only take these small branches from the mutowe tree. So I went around looking for that mutowe tree, and I got myself small, strong branches that were 12 in total. I then returned back home and we made those wooden stakes. When it was somewhere around 9 p.m., that was when I started hitting those wooden stakes around my compound. This was like setting a trap for that snake, as well as setting a trap for my mother, so that when she enters into our compound, she won't be able to leave the compound. She then said that I had to buy, there is this other clay plate that they use in the white garment churches. I bought one that had a cross on the bottom of that clay plate, as well as some eggs. I bought 6 eggs and I bought 12 needles. All of these things, Brother Nashi, we buried them around my compound. After we had buried all of these things around my compound, that was when that lady told me that she was going to do a holy prayer, and that prayer was the one that was going to call the snake. We saw this snake, Brother Nashi. This snake, when it appeared, that lady then killed the snake. It was a cobra. There is that cobra whereby when it is looking at you, it can actually spit its venom at you. That was the type of a cobra that the lady caught with her holy prayers. She killed that snake, and after she had killed that snake, she said that your mother is going to come here because we have killed her own child. So she is going to come seeking revenge because you have killed a child who is also a husband. She then said that, let me leave you because I have someone that is looking for my advice. That prophet then said that I have been called back in my village. There is someone that is mentally ill. So let me rush back. I'll come back. My brother, when that lady left, that prophetess left, just after a couple of hours, just before sunset, that was when I saw my mother limping as she was walking towards my homestead. I greeted her and she was quiet. She just walked straight into the kitchen as she was looking for food to eat. What surprised us, Brother Nashi, was that even though there was food in the kitchen, but she took millimel and she took that millimel and she placed it inside a cup, a metallic cup. Then she took water and she started mixing that millimel and she started drinking that mix that she had done, just millimel and water. And she said that that was the food that she wanted to eat, even though there was actually food that was there in the kitchen. And when we went to bed, my mother could not sleep. She kept on coming and knocking on my door. When I would wake up and when I would go outside and ask her what was going on, she kept on saying that she was seeing small people, really short people that were coming to fight with her. I said, Mom, is there anything that you want to tell me? Do you want to confess? She said, no, I do not have anything to confess to you. Do you think I am a witch, my child? I am not a witch. And she was now talking to herself. She kept on talking to herself throughout the night. When the next morning came, my mother, she was unable to speak, but there was a lot of blood that was coming out of her nose as well as her mouth. Then my mother passed away. When my mother passed away, we could not take her to the mortuary because at our village, the mortuary, like the hospital, it is very far. So we had to bury her the following day. The first day, she had to sleep inside the house whilst we were just holding that funeral ceremony for her. People were singing in the kitchen as well as some men were just busy outside by the fire just discussing how this funeral was supposed to take place. Throughout the night, there was this other lady, we call them Masawira in Shona. They kept on coming to me and taking me aside, and they kept on saying that the things that are there, the things that are inside your mom's coffin, those things, they are really terrifying. I asked them, what is it? What was going on? They said that they saw these small creatures and they said that your mother, there is blood that is just coming out of her dead body. We do not know what to do anymore. Those ladies said that they had tried to block the blood, but in each and every open space on my mom's dead body, wherever there was an open space, blood was just dripping out from the ears, from the eyes, from the nose, from the mouth, as well as from her private part. Blood was just coming out. They said that we do not know what to do. I told the village headman. Then the village headman called another traditional healer, who then placed some charms on top of my mother's coffin. That was when the blood stopped. This thing, it happened 8 years ago. Currently, I am staying and working here in South Africa with my wife. And when I was at the border, that was when I was accused of using my mother's passport. My mother, she had a passport. Strange enough, a passport even appeared on that official's screen. It was just spiritual, the thing that happened. But what I didn't realize at that time was that his spirit was now following me. When I returned back to South Africa, it was only by the grace of God, but my boss wanted to fire me. Why he wanted to fire me, I do not even know. He didn't have a reason at all. He just told me that the way that you drive, I don't like it. And here I am talking about a man When he started his company, I was with him. I was his first driver. I have worked for this man for more than 13 years, but he said that he does not like the way that I drive. Yet I took him from one small truck to the many trucks that he has, including some bakkies that he has now. But by the grace of God, I am still working for that man. But the problem that I am facing is that I just see the spirit of my mother. Sometimes I see the spirit of my mother when I am just by the robots. I can just see, like when people are passing by, and when we will be waiting for the robot to go green, I can just see that amongst the people that will be walking past the robot, my mother will be amongst those people. She will look at me and she will just continue walking as if this is normal. My brother, I am staying in Cape Town. If there is any prophet that is powerful enough to assist me, please help me. Your dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by our dear brother who is saying that he is in Cape Town. Just imagine that you are at the border, then you are told that you are trying to cross into South Africa using your mother's passport. Strange things do happen in this world.